You're at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus pages want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one is for Nisioisin Shill, who says, rant about Nisioisin's obsession with genius. Does it actually exist, or does he just go deeper into every character and their relationships, with genius characters being a common trope across fiction in general? Of course, Goto turned this trope up to 11, but no other book in that series has a focus on genius. Alright, smart guy. Look, Goto was the first book he did, right? And it's all about genius. It's all about the relationship of a man who is very intelligent, who, who's like close to genius, and the huge gap between him and what is genius. Now, there is also a manga that he wrote that is in the Faust compilation, which also deals with the same scenario of a very smart character talking to a genius. Then you've got Hanekawa in the Monogatari series, whose whole entire thing is about her genius. And then, I know there was another one. Oh yeah, Katana Gatsuri, the main character's sister. The whole fucking thing is about her genius. So clearly, at least in his early career, in the mid-2000s to late 2000s, he definitely had an obsession with the concept of genius. And he explored it in pretty similar ways between all those different works. The way that he presents the genius characters and writes them is very similar. The type of commentary that he does on them is similar. And the reason that it stands out to me so much is that it's such a nonsense thing to talk about, which I know is his MO. I mean, Goto means nonsense, but like it's just like he had this, like, that's why I think it's an obsession, because it's like there's no such thing as a genius. That's not like a real, like, yes, there is a threshold of IQ above which you can, be certified by the Mensa organization to be called a genius. Nobody thinks of it that way. It's just a general term that we use to describe somebody who is really intelligent or skilled at a certain thing. So the mere idea of genius is already like a wishy-washy, indefinable trait. So, like, I think that's why he's so fascinated with it, is that it is indefinable, is that it is basically useless and yet an obsession of so much of culture. And, Nisioisin himself was constantly being described as a genius. Like, the way that he is pitched is like, oh, this genius writer who writes these crazy out there stories with all this insane dialogue. And, like, I think that is his relationship with genius is this feeling of knowing that he himself is very intelligent, feeling like he's close to the sun, this amazing thing that is genius, and yet when he sees things that he regards as genius, they seem totally beyond him and alien to him. Like, whoever created this thing is just on a way higher level than I am. And the reason I think that is that I relate to it. Like, that's how I feel myself. That, like, I consider myself a pretty intelligent person, but there are people who are so far beyond me that I look at them and I think, like, I can't wrap my head around this. And it's a weird position to be in a position where it's like you understand more of them than the average person, but in that understanding, you also just have a better understanding of how big the gap really is, to an extent where it feels like you are the most confounded by the genius out of anybody, because most people will just look at it and just say, oh, that's genius, and you have to look at it and go, well, what is the mechanism of that? How can that be? So I think that's where his obsession came from as a young artist, being considered a genius, even though he's a fucking light novel author. So obviously, he probably knows that the stuff he's making is not genius in comparison to, some of the things he's probably read. So, yeah, that's why I think he has the obsession with genius, and it definitely was a thing. I don't know if it still is, because I haven't read any modern Nisioisin shit, but that shit was real. Do not try to fucking test